Welcome back. All right. So, news of the day video for all you fine people, and a lot of it's going to be playoff talk. And from here, it could be a lot of playoff talk because we're getting that much closer. We are, let's see, today's March 20th, so 4 weeks away from the start of the playoffs. 4 weeks from today, and so Anaheim will not be a part of it. So I'm wearing a Ducks jersey. I won't be wearing that during the playoffs unless there's a news video about signings and potential trades and whatever else. But yeah, for the Ducks, their dream came to an end last night with the loss against Vancouver. Not a surprise. They joined Columbus, Chicago, and San Jose. These were four teams that right out of the gate it looked like weren't going to make the playoffs. The only one that's a surprise, it is a surprise Columbus is eliminated this early in the year based on what the expectations were before the season started. But at any rate, Anaheim, maybe the record's a little bit worse than what we'd expected for Anaheim this season, but in the end, it's about the process, right? GMs will tell you it's about the process. You got to respect the process. And hey, I got to respect their ability to continue to bring up the process. So with the Ducks officially out, it does mean, too, that when I watch games, I don't have to worry as much about the games that feature teams that are outside of the playoffs, depending on who they're playing against, and especially if they're playing against each other, like Columbus and San Jose last week. At any rate, all the best to the Ducks on their draft lottery chances this year. Good news for Montreal fans. There are some players that are on their way back. Now, we are, of course, less than a month away from the end of the regular season, so we'll see if they come back before that's done. But Gallagher, Evans, and Doc all at practice today in non-contact jerseys. So for Montreal, a team, and there's a lot of teams dealing with injuries. This is why when people are, oh, this team's dealing with injuries. A lot of teams are dealing with a lot of injuries right now. Montreal being one of them has dealt with it all year. Columbus has dealt with it all year. Colorado, Pittsburgh seems to always have injury issues. Although I don't think with Pittsburgh it's been as bad this year as in recent seasons, but St. Louis is one too, decimated by injuries last season. But at any rate, we'll see when these guys come back and what kind of effect that has on Montreal and they're jockeying for the kid that's putting up a bunch of points right now for Regina. Tristan Jarry is going to start tonight against the Ottawa Senators. Pittsburgh's in a rough position, and it's interesting to watch Pittsburgh fans online, and I get it. They're going back and forth between should it be DeSmith or should it be Jarry. I get the feeling management's probably feeling the exact same way. That Jarry has been pulled in 4 of his last 10 starts, but DeSmith's looked shaky at times this year as well. And so for Pittsburgh, they're in a rough position. They are above the playoff line. They should hold that playoff spot at the very least. But what happens in said playoffs if you're the number 2 wild card and you're against the Boston Bruins? If you're the number 1 wild card and you've got to face either Carolina or New Jersey, and if you don't have a lot of faith in the goaltending, I have to say if it was New Jersey and Pittsburgh, and if Vanacek had a little bit of a struggle, you might see a ton of goals in that series. But at any rate, Jarry's going to be the starter tonight, and we'll see how long of a leash he has. Pettersson and Ruda are both week-to-week lower body injuries for them. Petrie is seen as day-to-day, will not play tonight, so that's 3 on the blue line out, and it feels like Ruda just came back from injury, at least it feels like it. I don't know, days, weeks, they all blur together now. But yeah, at any rate, Pittsburgh's dealing with their share of injuries and uncertainty when it comes to who should be the starting goaltender. Because I remember when Jarry was injured, DeSmith had his struggles, and there was can't wait till Jarry gets back. Jarry comes back, he's had some struggles of his own, and now it's, well, maybe go to DeSmith. It's going to have to be one or the other come playoff time, and so we'll see, right? New York Rangers equaled a team record last night with 6 goals in the first period. I feel like once they reached that, they kind of took their foot off the gas a little bit. And I feel like they were... And it's weird because they qualified as no mercy, and yet I think there was some mercy there in the end. Either that or Saros just played really darn well after that. But it didn't feel like the Rangers had that same sense of urgency after they were up 6-0. So, great game for them. Great to tie the record. Keandre Miller with a bunch of points. Really excited, his first multi-goal game in his career. These are all good things. You want your team to be playing well right now. We are only 4 weeks away from the start of the playoffs. Teams that are playing well right now have a good chance come playoff time. Speaking of playoff pictures, let's discuss the Jets and the Flames a bit, shall we? So, the Jets are still in a pretty good spot here. I gave them way too many points. Look at that. I gave him a 10-point lead over Calgary. Whoever set up the board did. They'll hear about this. So yeah, the Jets 81 points in 71 games for them. 4-5-1 in their last 10 games. So they're not setting the world on fire when it comes to their last 10 games. But Calgary, they have 77 points in 70 games. They're 4-3-3 in their last 10. So right now the Jets have a 4-point lead, but they also have another advantage. They have 29 regulation wins. Calgary has 25. So regulation wins being the tiebreaker that's used to decide who does or doesn't make the playoffs. That's your first tiebreaker. The Jets have that one as well. And if you look at the upcoming schedule, the Jets should be able to hold that spot. And I'm saying should because while it looks on paper like an easy schedule, the Jets have really had their struggles. First off, they're at home against Arizona. Now, Arizona's playing well. If Arizona can play as well on the road as they have been at home lately, they're going to be a handful. Then they go to Anaheim. As mentioned, Anaheim officially eliminated. Not a lot to play for, but also should be completely relaxed. They're at LA, then they're at San Jose, and then they're at home against Detroit. So out of the next 5 games for the Jets, there's 1 against a team above the playoff line. So the Jets should be able to hold that spot. And for the Flames, it's a little bit more difficult. First, they're at LA, then they're at Anaheim. The game at LA, of course, tonight. That is the biggest game of the year for Calgary. Flames fans, every single night now, from now till the end of the season, when they play, it'll be the biggest game of the season. Then they come home, they play Vegas, they play San Jose, they play LA, and then they go to Vancouver. So between now and the end of the month, they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games as well. So both teams with 5 games left. But there's 2 that are against teams above the playoff line for Calgary, LA and Vegas. And LA, an opponent these 2 teams have in common, fighting to try to get first in the division. So it's a mildly more difficult schedule for Calgary. I would also throw in Vancouver's won 8 out of 10. They would love to eliminate Calgary from the playoffs. That would make Vancouver very happy. I would imagine there'd be some Canuck fans that'd be pretty happy about that. And so, yeah, it will be interesting to see who does win this. Again, it should be Winnipeg, but Winnipeg should not be in this position anyways, based on where they were, 2 months ago, a month ago? It's all gone in the wrong direction for them lately. But, yeah, these are the 2 because Nashville, we'll talk about Nashville, really aren't in the hunt now, even though they're still only a point behind Calgary. So yesterday was a unique day. And so I want to talk about it a little bit in that there were 3 games where the winner won by 5 goals or more, which is where I consider it to be a no-mercy game, where they just keep scoring. Boston, Vegas, and the Rangers did that. What's interesting is 2 of those were also shutouts. Boston and the Rangers were both shutouts. St. Louis also gets a shutout over Winnipeg, but they only won by 3-0 as their score. So really weird really weird day. I thought deserved to be mentioned on this board because I haven't seen that before. Since I started tracking it this way, I haven't seen that before, where there's 3 shutouts and 3 lopsided games, and 2 of them are shutouts at the same time. So this means that teams that are winning by these large totals, you're increasing your goal differential. And for whatever reason, teams with a really good positive goal differential, meaning those are the teams most likely to blow other teams out, usually have top seeds come playoff time and very often can perform quite well in the playoffs. So I do intend on making up some kind of a board when it comes to both of these things. So stay tuned for that. But yeah, I just thought it was interesting and I'd throw it in the video. So currently the Nashville Predators are dealing with half their defense being injured. They're without Yossi, who's day-to-day now. He joins McDonough and Carrier on the sidelines. And up front, they're without Johansson and Forsberg. So really, Nashville, and watching last night's game against the Rangers, not only were they not engaged the way you would hope a team would be, but they do have the defense, and it's legit that they're without a lot of their best players. And so it reduces that roster to almost an expansion level roster. Like, they're the blue line and just the inexperience, and it really showed. And the Rangers were able to exploit that early and often. So yeah, for Nashville, it's a rough end to a season that was supposed to be a playoff season. It will be interesting to see if nights like last night influence Barry Trotz's decision about whether or not to keep John Hines on as coach. I still think he's probably going to be gone, but Barry Trotz, it's up to him. He may, as a former coach himself, say, you know what, I went through a lot of rough years in Nashville too. he may extend more of a leash to Hines than another GM might, based on his experience in Nashville and knowing that continuity is important. Changing the coach behind the bench can definitely fire up a team short term, but long term, having that stability behind the bench, there is something to be said for that as well. Connor Bedard, just remarkable. He has got 17 points in his last 4 games. Absolutely ridiculous numbers he's putting up. 55 games now for Regina, 70 goals, 72 assists, 142 points. So if you're wondering why GMs are excited about this draft, Bedard is a huge part of it. It's not just Bedard. There are others in the draft as well that are going to be star players, but yeah, he just keeps getting better. And so when he has these cold patches during Regina's season, it just seems to make him angry, and then he steamrolls from there. Now, Regina's not expected to do a lot when it comes to WHL playoffs, but Bedard is going to be a star in the NHL, and it's going to be fun to watch. But at any rate, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through, you just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.